What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Talks with Chepe. We have made it another week. On this week's episode, I wanted to talk about something that's been in my heart lately since 9/11 just passed, and it's about our core American beliefs. Now, I'm going to give my perspective coming from an immigrant. I want to talk about some things that I see and how we can move forward as an American. All right, everybody. So, on this week's episode, I know you're sure you got it from the beginning, but I wanted to talk about something that's been in my heart lately, and I've been giving it a lot of thought, especially since 9/11 just passed. So this year was the 19th anniversary of 9/11. Horrible day for the most of us. I'm sure one way or another we all had somebody connected to that tragic event. And on top of that, everything going around of the state of our country and where we are as a community, a nation, and just a sense of, being an American. So what does that mean to people? What does that mean to me? And what can we do about it? So I'm giving my perspective because I come from an immigrant family. I immigrated here with my family back when I was a child. And growing up, I didn't have a lot of these traditional American beliefs, views, or culture that you see nowadays, which is fine. We've learned to assimilate and we kind of grasp it now. And I want to say more Americanized now than I am in touch with my Guatemalan culture. Not that I lost it in total. But what does that mean to you? Now, I'm talking to you as my listener, my guest, because I don't have a guest this week again, which we're going to get back to it, but I feel like this was important that we talked about. So I'm going to give you a second to think what it really means to be an American. All right. So to me, what it means is being proud of where you're from, loving your neighbor, loving the country where you live, being proud of waking up every day and saying, you know what, I'm living in the greatest country in the world. Now, some may argue that it's not, and I know the country has gone through a lot of growth, hardships. We're facing one right now with systemic racism and the tension that's going on right now. And I'm not going to turn a blind eye to that because I know it's there. And I did speak about it in one of my earlier episodes. And the country wasn't built on values that, looking at 2020, where we would say, oh, I can agree with that. But it was built on some core values that we still all hold dear in our hearts today. And I wanted to talk about those because I'm sure everyone agrees with me to an extent. And it's important that we discuss them. So the most important one that I think that really is the root of our basis as a country is freedom. Now, when the country was established, not everybody was granted their freedom in the beginning. We can all aware that. We all took history. And we understand that. But now here in 2020, we all have it. And I think it's such an important part of our life that we take for granted sometimes, that we don't realize that we're able to walk out our front door, go to work, enjoy our friends, go to a movie, go to the store, go to the park, and do what we love to do and just be free within the means of the law, of course, because we all have laws, and without that, we'd be, an anarchist country. Because trust me, coming from a third world country, you need the laws and law and order. But besides that, we enjoy other freedoms that we see in different countries that we just take for granted. Also, our freedom of speech is the biggest one, I think. Without that, I wouldn't be able to be here and speak to you about this. Imagine we lived somewhere in like Iran or Pakistan or anywhere like that where, I wouldn't be able to speak the way I am now, freely critiquing our government, critiquing whoever I want, and just talking about it. Same goes with our religion. We're able to practice our religion in whatever religion you want to believe in, whether it can be believing in a God with Christianity, believing in Buddha, believing in Allah, or believing in, I don't know, the fucking alien that abducted you last week. If you want to believe in that, you can do it. So we have to really think that, it's important that we have this. And that's just the ideal perspective coming from my part of seeing it. Growing up, my parents always instilled in me that we live in such a great country that we need to take advantage of this because we have the right, and I'm quoting Thomas Jefferson when he wrote this, that we have the right for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's our right. It's our life. We have the right to it. and we're all in pursuit of happiness, whether that means to whoever it is. It could mean whatever, it could mean the happiness of money, the happiness of just living a comfortable life. Whatever your happiness is, you have that right to go follow it. In many other countries, you don't. You have to sit there and realize that you have to work just to live and to support your family, even though we do that now, but we have more freedom today here. But it's life or death over there. Here we have that luxury where it's not necessarily life or death. I always see it as the idea of being poor is a choice in this country. And many may say, well, I was not given that same advantage as this so-and-so or that so-and-so. Granted, we can take that and look at it and agree. And there are certain things that cause some disadvantages. But in the year 2020, there's different ways to make money. There's different ways to go to school. And everyone has that opportunity to move forward and become successful, whether it's from going to school and becoming a doctor or a lawyer, or going to become a firefighter, law enforcement, join the military, or hey, even if you don't even want to do that, you can go now and become a YouTuber, a streamer, a podcaster. You can do whatever it is, and you have the luxury to do that because we live in a country that allows us to do that. And that's where I think our basis of freedom comes from. And I think it's important that we realize that that is one of our core fundamental values that we should learn to appreciate, and that we should have and hold dear in our hearts. So with that being said, another one that I think it's important is the American dream. I think we lost sight of what it really is to have that American dream. And many of you say, well, the American dream is dead. And I tell you that you're a fool for believing that the American dream is dead, because I can tell you firsthand that I've seen my family live that American dream, and we're still living it now in 2020. Let me give you a little backstory. My family moved here back, I don't know the exact year, I was young, so I'm not going to give you whatever years. But when we moved here, we were poor. We didn't have anything. I remember me, my brother, my mom, and my dad lived in a 1-bedroom apartment where the shower didn't work. We shared one bed. It was literally no kitchen. We literally all slept in the same bed. But you know what? My parents moved here with the idea of that we can make something out of ourselves if we just put in that hard work. And my mom and dad did that, and they provided everything for me and my brother that we needed to essentially for today. My dad worked 3 jobs. My mom worked. And we went forward, and we, as a group, as a family, we kept going and kept going to the point that where we were able to live in a happy home where we wake up every day and, and I'm saying it comes from hard work because we weren't given this opportunity because we weren't all born here, but we don't have to worry about certain situations when it comes like, where's this bill going to get paid from? Where that's because, we worked hard and we made a living, and it's important that we realize the American dream can still be obtained. I'm still working forward to make that dream even more accessible for my children, so where they don't have to go through the hardships that I went through. And everyone goes through their own hardships, and it's important that we realize that that's going to help you build your American dream. We need to keep that in the back of our mind and move forward to a goal. And I always find that funny how people say, oh, I don't have a dream, I don't have a goal. But I find it's kind of bullshit, because we all have that one dream that we all aspire to be or aspire to do. And that's what leads us to that goal. My dream, and I'm going to share it publicly here with everybody, and I might get shit for it, and I really don't give a fuck. My dream is to eventually, hopefully one day, run for office. I first have to become an American citizen to do that, which I'm not yet, but I'm in the process of it. It's just still a really long process, which is we'll discuss in another episode. But that's the dream, to one day just run for office and help make a change in our society, to help these people that I see growing up that are struggling, so we can help them. It's funny how in school we once heard this idea of manifest destiny and what that really meant to everybody of moving forward. And for all of you who don't know what manifest destiny is, it's the God-given right to move to the direction that you want, which is which comes from the divine right of kings. And the United States was built around that, saying, oh, it's the manifest destiny to move west. And I think we should grasp that and build that in our own lives, where it's our right to move forward in progress, which is what's another idea or value that we have to hold dear in our hearts. Without progress, who are we? The country has made progress since the beginning of time, since it was established. We went from being controlled majority from white Anglo-Saxon men to now being a country where we have such diversity, where we had a black president, where we now have women, people of color in office, moving forward towards the next step. Now, what's the next progression of the country? We're seeing it now. We're going through it right now. And a lot of us are so riled up in emotions that we fail to see it. But at the end of the tunnel, it's going to help us progress as a country. And we need to do that as individuals as well. You know, we have to wake up every day and say, I'm motivated to do this. I want to do that. You want to have that willingness to work and make sacrifices, because without that, then what progress are you really making? There's nothing to make. You don't want to fall in a sense of complacency where you are now stuck. And I spoke about this in my last episode too. And it just seems to be, I want to say it's like I lost the word of it, the train of thought of it, but it just seems to be a topic that we always come back and touch because I feel like it's such importance, whether it's, you know, where we say things as like, just have that vision that your grandparents saw. Because the majority, I am saying your grandparents, the majority of my friends have been grandparents, the ones that immigrated here from Europe, but that your grandparents saw to move here, to take that risk, to come here cross country, to go through Ellis Island and build a home to something that you have now that you can say, that you can give to your children and say, I'm proud of my grandparents for actually being here, that they did this. And it leads me to my next point where I think it's one of the most important ones as being an American, and that's being a patriot. And I'm not talking about that sense of being a patriot where you're like, I don't know, like an alt-right type people or like the super Trumper people. There's nothing wrong with liking Trump, but you know who I'm talking about. And the reason why I make this my final and most important point is because last week, coming home on Friday after 9/11, I was talking to one of my friends because we carpool from work, and I was telling him that it's crazy to think that these people gave up their life to save other people because they saw it as a sense of community and a sense of pride that we were under attack, and they said, no, we have to put our country first and save those people's lives. And it got me thinking, isn't it a beautiful thing to be a patriot that way, where they did not think twice about running into those buildings. They made the ultimate sacrifice. And after that, we all came together as a country and we rallied behind that to realize that no one's going to tell us that we can't do something, and no one's going to embarrass us here and bring us to our knees. I was a young kid at that time. I didn't really understand it or get the concept of it. I remember it vividly. I remember that day. But on the way home, I saw people running with American flags, and I saw the cars, and I said, you know what? I wasn't there that day, but I'm going to go run a 5K for them with my American headband on to show that I care and to show that pride. I went out there that day, and I ran, and I never felt better of myself because I realized that I wasn't doing it for me, but I was doing it for the country. I was doing it for those people who lost their lives, and I realized that if it wasn't for those people, I wouldn't have the opportunity to be here running or even talking to you. Where will we be? And I think it's important that we come back and we realize that being a patriot is something that should not be frowned upon. Think about it. Think about it during World War II. You had kids younger than me, 18 years old, storming the beach of Normandy. Certain death, might I add, that they went out there and they did not care what the person next to them looked like, if they were gay, straight, black, white, yellow, whatever, you name it. They said, fuck that. We're going to go out there. We're going to take this beach and we're going to save the world from these fucking terrible people, these Nazis. And they did that. They took that beach and ultimately led us to winning that war. And now we can't even go and speak our minds because we want to hurt people's feelings. And I get it. People are sensitive nowadays, and we have to acknowledge that. We have to respect people's opinions. But I think that we have to come back and sense of like, no, I'm going to stick up to what I believe in. And it's important that we discuss these things of being and saying, I'm a proud American. And I said this earlier in the episode, I'm not an American, but I can tell you the day that I take that test, and it's coming up one day, and I pass that test with flying colors, because obviously I would be ashamed if I didn't, and I finally get handed that certificate saying that you are now an American citizen, it's going to be one of the happiest days of my life. Because now everything that I believe in and everything that was instilled in me and everything I see with my friends and everybody, I realize that it's finally here. And now I can finally live to my full potential, my American dream. So with that being said, everybody, don't be afraid to say I'm a proud American. Embrace it. We're not perfect. I'm not saying we are. But I think it's something to be damn proud about. Next time you think about it, say, damn, I really am living in one of the greatest countries in the world. And the odds that you were born here were probably slim to none. I'm saying like you being born in America were probably slim to none. But you drew the lottery ticket and you were born here. So be proud. And I would love to hear from you guys what are some of your proudest moments are as an American. Whether it's from graduating college, experiencing this, joining the military. Be proud about it. Wear that on your sleeve. And let me hear from you guys. Because with that being said, you guys know where to find me. I repeat myself every episode, but you guys always find where I'm at and always give me some good feedback. So, hey, here it is. If you want to find me on Instagram, you know where to find me at Talks with Chepe. On Twitter, The Real Don Chepe. And on YouTube, Talks with Chepe. And Facebook is just my name, Oli Flores. So leave me a comment. Send me a message. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear from you. And stay blessed, everybody. Remember, be proud of who you are. Be proud to be an American. And God bless.